Here we are with a new episode of Pints and Pages. I'm Nick.
I'm Brad.
I'm Levi.
And today is our first recording at Logan Tech. So we're recording on new equipment. We're recording on sophisticated equipment. And we are going to discuss today comedians. We're going to talk about comedy today. So it should be a really good episode, I'm hoping. I know I have my favorites, and I'm sure that you guys do too. So I'll start because I know everybody knows exactly where I'm going to go.
Oh, yeah.
And that is Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer is
Everyone loves Bertie boy.
My favorite. He's my favorite. We just went on a Bert Kreischer cruise. That was 5 days of comedy with Bert and his friends. We loved every second of it. It was great. Bert's comedy I relate with. He's got two kids that are right around my kids' age. He's got a wild and crazy life. He's got stories for days. I love his comedy storytelling that he does, and he wraps it up with a joke. I love that some of his stories are true. Like they're 100% word for word exactly how his crazy shit happens. And his comedy is just phenomenal. I enjoy him. Some of the other ones I enjoy are Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle.
Tom Segura. I really used to enjoy way back when Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, yeah. Mitch is on top of my list.
Yeah.
That is not what I'm familiar with.
And then Lewis Black, Dave Attell. I've got definitely a list. We really didn't discuss this beforehand other than comedians. So I didn't really come in with like a top 5 or a top 10. I probably would be more closer to top 20 because I have several that I enjoy.
Well, and I don't think any on my list are actually in an order. They're just like, they kind of made the list of the ones I like because they all have different things that make me laugh. And each day's, going to require a little different laughter, I think.
Yeah. There are just some days where I have to turn Bert on and listen to like the story of him buying raffle tickets.
I love that.
I have to listen to his machine story, his flying dildos story is fantastic. And there's just some days where I have to turn on and watch Tom Segura or Dave Chappelle. You gotta
watch him fall on his ass.
Yeah.
Trying to dunk on a 9-foot.
Yeah. And one of the new guys that I've been listening to, and he just had a special that came out, is Shane Gillis. I love Shane Gillis's new special on Netflix. It's solid. He's got some really good jokes on it, but he's out with Bert, and they all seem to be friends. I think that's cool too. They all know each other. So
I was gonna say, for the most part, it seems like almost the whole comedy group comedy scene at this point is friends with each other, or at least friendly, because they're all mixing up on tour and podcasts. And
I love what they do with the podcast world, where they're all on each other's podcasts and they all move around and they all like talk to each other. And
no matter what, it's a crazy hectic party.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Chris DiStefano, Sal Vulcano, and Joe DeRosa on the Hey Babes and
Taste
Buds, and they're always on somebody else's. They're always on Bert's podcast, or they're on Tom's, or they're on Joe, even Rogan's. Like they just kind of float around. So I love that they do as much as they do, and they go back and forth. I think it's fun. For sure. So. You guys got anything?
Oh,
I got plenty.
Say, one of my favorites that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I know he's been on Bert's podcast, is Daniel Sloss. He's from England. He is absolutely hilarious, and kind of like yours, a lot of his story, or kind of like what you were saying, a lot of his stories are true or barely embellished. It's just the crazy shit that's happened in his life.
Yeah.
But he also, I do like a lot of not a lot, but people that have a message with their stand-up, even though it's supposed to be jokes and laughs, there's a message or a broader, it all ties together to be one big theme.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And he tends to have an overarching arcing story that's going on throughout the whole thing.
Okay. All right. That who's the guy that co-wrote Chappelle Show?
Oh, I couldn't give you that.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I watched one of his specials.
His specials always have a purpose.
And he talks about some depressing, serious stuff.
I think Tony's gonna Google it.
Yeah. He was like
but he's
Dave's
got
best friend. So for the time they were working on that crap together.
I've also never seen the Chappelle Show. So.
He's got some Neil Brennan. That's it. He's got some great comedy. And it wasn't even stand up, but one of the best things I've ever seen him do was when Chappelle got the Mark Twain Award for comedy.
Oh.
Neil Brennan came out and gave I mean, for lack of better terms, it was 10 minutes of a stand-up, you know what I mean? But he comes out to talk about Chappelle, and he talks about his time on the Chappelle Show. They co-wrote Half Baked, the movie that Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer and...
Well, Jim Brewer was one I wanted to talk about too.
And Neil Brennan, there's one part in it where Neil Brennan is like, he tells this story about how they were right. He's like, I didn't write this skit, but it was something about Dave Chappelle and Oprah breaking up and Dave destroying the office because he was mad because Oprah broke up with him or something like that. And Dave Chappelle actually yelled from the balcony, "You wrote that skit and you know it." And he said, "There, ladies and gentlemen, is the only time I'm going to get accredited writing for doing anything on the Chappelle Show. You heard it from him. I helped write that skit." So it was one of the funniest things I had heard, but he has some serious specials. Like he did that 3 mics where it was like funny, depressing, and like serious. Like he and his last special was really good, but he's one of those ones that has a message when he's talking. So yeah.
And then along with Daniel, another one of my favorites who actually helped bring or get Daniel known a little more in the America side of the comedy scene would be Ari. I love Ari.
Oh, yeah.
I love how egregious and awful of a human he is.
Yeah.
It gives me a good laugh, and I don't care at whose expense, really.
Yeah.
It's not happening to me, and that sounds shitty, but it makes me laugh, so I can stand on the sidelines and laugh at it.
Ari is, there's Andrew Schultz.
I like Andrew also.
He's one of those guys that takes risks, and he's a little bit vulgar at times, like when it doesn't even need to be. Which is kind of what Ari does. But Ari will like go for the jugular, where Andrew's like still trying to be kind of funny about it. Ari's almost trying to just be flat out mean. One of my favorite things that Ari does, and as shitty as it is anytime a celebrity dies, he has to go to Twitter and just tell you how big of a piece of shit they were. Yeah, he does do that. I mean, he got basically canceled for a little while because he did it to Kobe. Because he did it, yeah, I remember that. That was, and I know that like Bert, none of the wives like him. Bert's wife doesn't like him. Tom's wife doesn't like him. Bert's wife hates him because he drugged Bert. Yeah. So he has a tendency to drug his friends, which probably isn't the best thing to do. I think if you do it the Joey Diaz route. I think Joey Diaz does that a lot too. But he only does it with edibles. He does weed. He's not giving people Molly and other shit. Yeah. Say I remember Joey Diaz, Tom Segura telling that story of Joey Diaz, like giving him the capsules. Yeah, they were gummies, and Tom he told Tom they were 10. They were 5 milligrams. They were 10s. Because he's 10 milli Tommy. Yeah, and they ended up being like 200 milligrams, and Tom took them and like thought that his arms and legs fell off on the plane ride home. Like he was like, I thought my arms had like left my body. I didn't know where to find them at, and he was like, yeah. Have you heard the story of when Joey dosed Bert's dad? No. From what I remember, Bert had invited Joey over for Easter. And so after they had done like all the Easter celebration stuff, they were sitting out back of Bert's house with a fire going, and Joey brought over medicated popcorn.
And he just pops open this tin and starts taking handfuls, and like he does with anything, hands it around. Well, he hands it to Bert's dad. And Bert's dad, without thinking about it, just grabs a handful, couple hands full, throws it back, and they pass it around. About 45 minutes later, he, from Bert's perspective, was just blasted, talking about every typical stoner thing, like, do we belong on this universe? What's going on out there? All that kind of shit. And ever since then, apparently now he takes edibles.
Oh,
Yeah, once you break that, barrier, try them. Wow, this ain't so bad.
yeah. And those guys are all friends, which I think is great, except for Ari. Well, I guess they're all friends with Ari. It's just Bert's wife doesn't like him.
Yeah. Even then, Ari's still questionable with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But that's why I like him, even though he's a piece of shit.
I think I generally like about half of his bits. The other half, I'm like, man.
That's how Kyla is.
Yeah.
I tried to get her to watch his new special, which is just called Jew, because he is a Jew, and it's not all about, I think he said it's like 95% Judaism jokes or information. And Kyla could not sit through that. She was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. He put it out on YouTube. I think.
Bonus Pints is a craft beer and wine spin on the classic arcade. Located at 422 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, Bonus Pints is the anchor of the Bonus Building on the corner of Broadway and 5th Street. They have all your favorite classic arcade games and both classic and current pinball machines. Every Wednesday is trivia, and every Thursday and Friday there is live music. Come and bring your friends. The food, the music, the games, and the people. There is something for everyone at Bonus Pints.
So yeah, they and right now I think comedy's in a boom for sure.
Oh yeah.
With the amount of exposure they can get on Facebook, YouTube. I guess
between
it's not
all the
Twitter.
podcasts.
It's not Twitter anymore. It's X, I guess. Yeah. Instagram, the podcast. Yeah, it was a weird thing to do. But they I mean they can get a lot of exposure. They treat each other well, as far as I know. Once they get to a point, they grab each other, go out on tour.
Yeah.
Bert tries to do festivals with several different comedians. That way a lot of them can get exposure to where they wouldn't get exposure before. And they just all sit and watch each other's specials and laugh their asses off. I know they do that because I've seen them do it.
Well,
yeah.
None of us were fortunate enough to catch Adam Sandler when he was nearby recently.
Right.
But the guy at work, he went and he had a great time, of course. And Rob Schneider came out there, I believe. But he said they went through half of the show and they're just sitting there. And then next thing you know, Adam Sandler's like kind of cracking jokes about the crowd and looking around and trying to make fun of somebody. And then boom, it's Kevin James sitting in the middle of the crowd by himself. No friends or family. He was just in a regular old seat, like just a few rows away from him. He's got a picture of him where he's just sitting there. The lady next to him didn't know it was Kevin James the entire fucking time that she was sitting there. Yeah. And like that'd be pretty cool. Cause so like some of those comedians, if you go to one of their shows, even if like there's big names hiding and they might not even be performing and stuff, I always think that's kind of cool to try to spot them out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when we were on the boat. Of course, you didn't have a lot to go. You were on a cruise ship, but you could see comedians like Big J. Okerson, you could see in Miss Pat's crowd. Like Miss Pat, you could see in, I think she was in the podcast crowd when I went to see the Burt cast with Giannis and Mark Normand. Like you could see that, like they went to each other's shows so that way they could see each other perform, which I thought was cool.
I wish there was more opportunities to go watch comedy around here. Like you guys went to one the other night here in town.
Yeah, last night we went to Greg Hahn and Willie Griswold.
But
I know they do them down in Indy. There's a comedy club because I took Kyla and her mom and to see Josh Wolf down there.
Right.
And I think there's one in Fort Wayne, but yeah, no, I agree. I don't know that there's any in like Kokomo or Lafayette or anywhere close like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I want something a little more local too, because I don't, I'd like to have a couple of drinks or something, and I don't want to worry about driving home. And,
right.
But yeah, I don't know. We haven't been to too many comedy shows lately.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hard to get to. And they're big shows now. Like they're playing like arenas and theaters. Like they're not doing comedy clubs. Like they still do comedy clubs, don't get me wrong, but
around here when they're coming to tour, it's mainly the arenas, unless it's like I saw Josh Wolf, but he's a smaller, not a small one, but not as big as the arenas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're Kevin Hart and your Burt Kreischer and your Jeff Dunham. They're going to play,
I still remember when Jeff Dunham came here in Logansport.
Did he?
I remember he traveled through here at least. I remember seeing pictures because he went to the Batmobile thing. I thought he performed somewhere close to here. I didn't know.
It was probably just Indy.
I didn't think he was down in Indy.
He bought a Batmobile.
I think there was talk of it.
He might have bought a Batmobile.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
It still throws me off that the Batmobiles replica Batmobiles are made here in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
He missed an opportunity not calling that place Wayne Enterprises or something.
Yeah, honestly.
It's probably trademarked or copyrighted. Well, I don't know. At this point, it should be like...
it doesn't go under free domain until 2025 is Batman and Superman stuff.
Oh, so yeah. He can name it all kinds of shit here in a little bit.
But I'm pretty sure he's in partners with DC, so I wonder if they'd throw a complaint with that.
He's licensed by DC.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only person in the world licensed to make Batmobiles.
Yeah, Batmobiles. Yeah.
Which is still crazy.
Yeah.
That's someone that they need to start throwing on podcasts, that man.
Yeah.
Yeah, comedians. Back to comedians.
Yeah,
Batmobiles.
back to comedians.
We always kind of linger on Batman and comics, so we always go back.
I mean, we did start in a comic book store, so
yeah, comics are kind of our thing, but yeah, back to comedians.
How about the comedian and the Watchman? There we go. We can talk about both.
We could.
The Watchman? What?
The Watchman comic?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, there's the character called the comedian.
More of an anti-hero type.
Yeah. Jeffrey Dean Morgan played him in the movie.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, played him in the movie. I thought I had that right. So
yeah, no, that one's over my head.
Yeah.
But no, I guess for comedians, though, I always kind of tend to like the simple slapsticky one-liner kind of the older comedy. That was always my favorite.
That was what Greg Hahn was last night.
Yeah.
It was like rapid fire one-liners.
Yeah.
That
cheesy.
Yeah. And they were funny and they were still relevant. And even though a lot of them you could tell had age on them, but they were still relevant. They were still relevant.
Yeah, we talked about Mitch Hedberg a little bit. He was always really he was one of my favorites because that's how he is. Everything was just like a couple sentences, and then you're like, you had to laugh out of like, really? Like that's where you were going with this?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
He's got some of the best ones too. Yeah. And he wasn't around long enough to get I get what he probably deserved. I think he had like a 30-minute Comedy Central special.
Yeah, he needed bigger stuff.
But yeah, he just wasn't around long enough to get that. But he's got some of the best stuff. The whole Pringles can thing.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be do you think they were supposed to be a tennis ball company? And they just accidentally ordered potatoes and said, nah, fuck it. Cut them up, put them in a can.
Yeah. That was the joke. That was
that was the whole joke. And he said it just like that. And he said it just that quick and then moved on to the next. He had a joke about sometimes I get hungry for a bit. Like baked potatoes take so long to cook. Sometimes I just throw one in the oven at like 225 because in like 3.5 hours I might be hungry for it. Like it was just like he was funny. He was funny. I enjoyed him. I saw my mom and dad and me went to see, it was Mitch Hedberg, Dave Attell, and Louis Black. It would have been late 90s. So saw all three of them at the the Murat Theater. It was a good show. Dave Attell was a little more vulgar for my parents than what they were expecting, but Lewis Black cusses, but Dave Attell is vulgar.
Vulgar's the good way to be, in my opinion, but that's because I'm vulgar.
Yeah. It's like Lewis Black says the F word a lot, but Dave Attell like gets like graphically vulgar. So it was two totally different things. They could handle the F word. They couldn't handle some of Dave Attell's stuff. So
I could see that.
But it was a good show.
Have you ever been to any comedy shows at all?
Yeah, I've seen Josh Wolf, and I think that might be it, actually. Yeah, that's it. I've been to Josh Wolf.
Really? Have you been to a lot?
I've seen Rodney Carrington over in Lafayette. That was like 2008, 2009, somewhere back then. That was fun. Another Bob and Tom kind of comedian. Yeah. Lots of songs. Like he played all of them, and had giant inflatable penises on stage for one of his songs about his penis. And he was in a good place to do his comedy because he's very Midwestern family kind of guy, or got the cowboy hat and the jeans tucked in, plaid shirt kind, look to him. But no, he's a really good musician when he plays like his songs and stuff, but they're so fucking stupid and funny. And like he's got I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes, but it's like he's got a dozen roses and a 10-inch cock or some shit like that, and he's singing about it. Yeah.
See, I've never been a big song and dance comedian guy. Like I remember you showing us Stephen Lynch when we were younger. I enjoyed him.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I never got into Adam Sandler's comedy. I don't even like his movies.
I enjoy the music, like when you incorporate an instrument, like not your whole damn set. Like I don't want you sitting there the whole time, but if you go slide over the piano real quick, or the drummer special that what's his name did, God, I can't remember his name, from Saturday Night Live. He's in like all the movies ever. He plays Uncle Fester in Wednesday right now.
Fred Armisen.
Yeah, Fred Armisen did his little drummer performance, and it was basically like comedy for drummers and going over the instrument itself and joking about the eras. But he played like 20 some different drum sets all through different eras of music and played the styles that they were known for on it. But it's like this guy is such a weirdo in his acting roles and his comedy, and then he sits down in such a professional manner to play the drums while he's doing it. And like, it just really impressed me. And then he's got all of the most famous drummers of all the bands like you could think of just sitting in there at that comedy show watching. And it like, there were some famous people in there. And I don't know. I didn't know shit about drumming, but damn it if it wasn't still funny, like,
right.
Yeah. Dimitri Martin was another one that he was a weird oddball guy, used music here and there, but he also liked to use drawing. Like,
yes.
That's props. I love props sometimes, but like, I don't really like Carrot Top's prop comedy. Like he is a bit all over the place.
See, I've never seen prop comedy at all.
That
is not what I'm familiar with.
Magic comedians, Penn and Teller, obvious pick, but one of my all-time favorites that not a lot of people know or remember was the Amazing Jonathan. Like that guy is a fucking nutball, and I've loved it.
So yeah. My first time in Vegas, I saw the Amazing Jonathan.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, he's great. God, he's great.
So yeah, I've seen that show, and he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
It's like if Chris Farley did magic.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
It's basically like if you gave fucking Chris Farley a handkerchief and a deck of cards and told him to go fucking do a stand-up bit.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the Amazing Jonathan. There is a fantastic documentary about him.
Is there?
It is.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I had always loved him.
Yeah,
and like most of the comedy I can remember and think about, all the old stuff, like kind of late night HBO specials and stuff like that. Shit I wasn't supposed to be watching, you know.
The Robin Williams specials
Yes.
were fantastic.
Oh my
I
God.
remember you having those on DVD, and I've told Kyla about it. Me and Dakota watching them on repeat.
Yeah, the Robin Williams specials were great.
And it kind of gave you a new perspective on how fucking graphic he could be.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He got pretty raunchy at times, and it was like, wow, this guy's in all the fucking kids movies we like, you know, like
yeah, him and Eddie Murphy. Eddie
Oh,
Murphy's specials, Delirious and Raw, were good. I mean, they were classics for sure.
So they're making a sequel to what movie with Eddie Murphy coming up? There's a Eddie Murphy sequel coming out. Beverly Hills
Cop.
Yeah.
This one's called is it? I don't know if it's Axel Foley. I think maybe is it Beverly Hills Cop 4? Axel Foley maybe.
3 would be my guess, but I can't remember.
I thought they did 3 of them.
Did they?
I've not seen a single one.
They did 3. So this one's the 4th one.
Yeah, I didn't remember the 3. I know I've seen 1 a million times, and I've seen 2 a couple times because it's like, oh, never mind, this is 2. And then you turn it off. At least that's the way I did. Like,
yeah. The first one's a classic. The second one is it's not terrible, but
no, it's watchable.
It's watchable. Yeah.
But you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The so other than Rodney Carrington, have you been to?
Oh yeah, sorry. Back to that. We seen Jamie Kennedy when he came to town, which was a big bucket list for me because ever since Malibu's Most Wanted, everybody's called me B-Rad, and it was like it just kind of like I had to go, but he's got a different kind of vibe to him nowadays. You know? He's not quite that weirdo that was on the Jamie Kennedy Experience or whatever the show was called.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of a darker kind of outlook on life. I feel like he seemed to be so much more positive in the early parts of his career, but it was fun. It was still fun. The other comedians that came out, it seemed like they were all still on track with using COVID jokes. So you know, okay, we can switch to something else. Or a couple of the guys were hot on the race jokes, and it's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah. But, that was that. I got that from because I was at that show. So yeah,
and it's like we can joke about the just stupid shit, like bitch about your kids or something. But like I'm about sick of that rhetoric.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Bert doesn't get into anything and just does comedy.
It's why one of my favorite bits from him is when he's talking about buying guns.
Yeah.
And people start cheering. Some people kind of make some groans. He's like, listen, if you love guns, you're going to hate this. If you hate guns, you're also going to hate this.
Yeah. He's like, I am not a responsible gun owner. You are not going to like what I have to say at all. Like nobody is going to like what I have to say at all. So, but he's just, the ones that stay out of that lane because they don't want to get into it. Bert and Tom, I think, are 2 big examples. Like, I enjoy their comedy. Dave Chappelle gets into it, and I still enjoy his comedy a lot because because he just points out what's right in front of your face and nobody wants to say it.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's just like, this is what's going on, And when he was talking about the WNBA and he said if LeBron James wanted to put on a dress and score 484 points a game, nobody can stop him. It's like, so I've seen a ton of comedians over the years. I've seen Bert a few times, and then I went on that boat and saw Bert and Big J Okerson and Jim Norton and Miss Pat. I've seen Jason Mewes, which is Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, okay.
I've seen him. at the Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis. I've seen The Amazing Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm a jealous one for that.
Which one did you and Dakota go to? I can't remember what.
Brian Regan.
That's what I thought it was.
We went to Brian Regan over in Wabash.
God, it's been forever since I've seen any of
and
his
he
stuff.
he is mostly clean.
Yeah.
I think he's like 99% clean. And he was hysterical. He's a little neurotic for me. He goes like 100 mile an hour, and it's not one-liners. It's kind of like stories, but still going like just like making silly voices and doing weird stuff while he's doing the story, which I would rather hear like Greg Hahn last night doing if you're going to do that, I would rather it be hit fast one-liners rather than trying to tell a story with it. But he wasn't bad. But
Located at 430 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, on the bonus level, the second floor of Bonus Pints, is the Lantern. The Lantern is a glowing light in a small town. They are a shop filled with art, clothing, books, and all your current Halloween needs. They are currently carrying cat skull candles, black cat drinking glasses, Halloween themed dresses and shirts, and some 3D horror decor that will scratch your Halloween itch. Check out their Facebook page for when they are open and what new items they are stocking daily.
I would love to see Stephen Lynch. He's one of my favorites.
That would be my exception to the musical comedy thing, because I'm pretty sure all of his stand-up is just him on a guitar.
Yes.
But
yes.
I remember also kind of as a nostalgia thing, it just being hilarious as a child.
Yeah, it was good. I've seen Lewis Black a few times. I've seen Dave Attell. I'm trying to think of any of those other shows that I went to. I haven't been to many like comedy clubs, because there's not a whole lot around here.
Right.
Or if you go, it's not like famous people.
No,
like I've been to a couple of comedy clubs where it was just like
regional.
Yeah, it was like regional performers, and they were hysterical, but I couldn't tell you what their names were.
Yeah.
So,
I'm terrible.
When I sold Josh, I couldn't tell you anyone but Josh that was there.
Yeah, there was two people that opened up for Jason Mewes. I couldn't tell you who they were, but I think they were both Indianapolis comedians, but I couldn't tell you either one of their names. So, but yeah, and I enjoy staged podcasts too. Like, and I haven't been to any, but I know they tour now.
Yeah.
Like,
I know Two Bears, One Cave does it live sometimes.
Yeah. The big one was Smartless with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
They like did a tour thing, and I thought that was really cool. That would be something to go to. They're not really stand-up comics, but you put them all on a couch in front of a theater full of people with a celebrity, and they can talk for an hour, and it's kind of like an in-person podcast. I thought that was a cool concept, and they're on HBO Max with like a documentary showing how they like behind the scenes with them at the them at the airport, them at the hotel, and them blowing each other's shit, which was just fantastic, because they just I guess they blow each other's stuff all the time, and so every time one of them says the wrong word at the wrong time, the other two like endlessly beat them into the ground for saying the wrong word. And it's a really good like little documentary, if that's what you want to call it, for them. But I know that Murders, what is that? My Favorite Murders and Hey Babe, and like they've done live shows.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would be interested in going and seeing.
God, I would love to see a Taste Buds live.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I could just only imagine how some of that stuff would go live. So, and I watched Burtcast on the boat, and that was with Giannis and Mark Normand. And it was good. I mean, it was good. They were saying funny stuff, and I'm not sure that they were being recorded, because there were points that got pretty vulgar, and Bert was like, "This cannot be leave this room. This cannot, I hope you're not recording. And so it was funny. It was interesting because that's all it is basically, is just them sitting up there chatting just like we're doing now, but they're doing it in front of a big audience of people. So
yeah, Brad, do you have any bucket lists? I know Dad's listed a couple people he wants to see.
Oh man, that's tough because I would love to see just about anyone. I almost wouldn't be picky. That's a tough choice. I don't know who's still touring out of some of the older comedians and if they're still like telling relevant jokes either.
right.
You know, because it's like, they get dated and it might be funny to me, but it also might be the same jokes I've heard.
right. You always run into that, whether or not you're going to get that or not.
No, I don't. I'd have no idea who to even think of. I guess it would just depend on the scale too. Like stadium show, definitely not going to be picky. If I know it's going to be a packed stadium for a super famous comedian, I'd be down to go, and I wouldn't care who it was, just like to experience it. Or like, anytime I travel to a new city, I have like a list of things I look up, and live music, live comedy, and then like I always look for like hidden speakeasy type places too. But I never find any live comedy going on when I'm in town somewhere and I have free time. It's like it's never there, and I always struggle to find live music too. But I kind of, that's how I want to pick up the comedy, is like, just I'm here, it's going on, let's go in and see what's up.
Right. Yeah. That's not that was this situation, but I get what you mean. Just going to see something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I a few years back went and saw Mick Foley in Lafayette, and the wrestler, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, whatever you want to call him. He goes by many names. And it was interesting because it's the storytelling that I like. It was wrestling based, which I love.
Yeah.
And but it was funny stories that had happened to him over the years. Just like, so they really weren't, I mean, you have to craft them so they're still kind of jokes. So you could tell that he had been working with people to make sure that his stuff, like his story, flowed. And that's kind of how he did it. And I know that like him, I think Chris Jericho's doing it now.
Really?
Jake the Snake Roberts, all, like, there's a bunch of the old wrestlers. Like, I don't think they go on tour, but I think that they do some of that stuff where they do shows. Where they do shows where it's almost like it's mixing comedy and spoken word, almost is what it is. Storytelling, right. Comedy type stuff.
I'm going to tangent this. Is Jericho also still doing his Fozzy band?
He is. He's doing the band. He's doing his podcasts. He's doing comedy, and he's doing a cruise.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus, he's doing a lot.
Yeah, there's a rock and wrestling cruise where like Fozzy, they have a bunch of bands. Fozzy's the main one, and then they put a ring in the middle of the boat, and then they wrestle. So yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I just thought about it.
My ideal weekend.
Right.
Not everybody's, but
I think that'd be pretty entertaining.
Yeah. My ideal weekend for sure. Somebody I'm gonna mention, and you put them together with comedy, but they're not stand-up at all. And it's music based. But I can tell you right now that I saw them last year, and they were entertaining as all get out. And they had the biggest crowd that I've ever seen for a sideshow act. And that was Tenacious D.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
I got a buddy I would love to take to see Tenacious D.
So I saw Tenacious D at Louder Than Life last year. And well, I guess would have been 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
It would have been 2 years. Well, yeah, not this past Louder Than Life, but the one before. So 2022. And they were on the second stage in between, I want to say Evanescence and Bring Me the Horizon. They might have been on the same time as Bring Me the Horizon. I'm pretty sure the crowd for Tenacious D was bigger than the crowd for Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh, I could have told you that would have happened.
There was, I mean, they had crammed.
And I love Bring Me the Horizon.
They had crammed 20,000 people into that little space in front of that tiny stage. You could not move. It felt like when the crowd moved, you weren't even on your feet. You had to go wherever the crowd was going. It was incredible. And they were great. Amy Lee came out and did a song with them. Like, they were fantastic. And it's not really stand up, but it's definitely
comedy.
It's definitely comedy. It's definitely comedy because it's, I mean, Jack Black and Kyle Gass at their best. So that was very, very entertaining. And I would love to see a full Tenacious D show because I got a cut down version, headlining for a festival that was only like 45 minutes long.
I'm still surprised they were on a side stage.
Yeah.
Just with how big of a name Tenacious D is.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. But they really didn't fit that. Like they didn't fit the bands that day.
Yeah.
So,
but it wasn't the whole point of changing louder. Or no, that's Sonic Temple. I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Yeah. So they really didn't fit the bands that day because it was like Hailstorm, Evanescence, Bring Me the Horizon, 9 Inch Nails, and then by the way, in between all these bands, Tenacious D's on the side stage, and it's like, what? How does that even work? Like. But it was.
There's only 2 of them. Put them on the smaller stage.
Yeah. So, but it worked because, like I said, there were thousands and thousands of people over there to watch them, and you could not get through for nothing, like just nothing. And the crowd was packed in there like sardines. But I would love to see their full show because to me, I think that they're comedy gold for sure. Oh yeah.
So.
I guess it'd be pretty cool to see one of the like official roasts, like to be able to televise like the roast of some fucking
I love
celebrity.
watching the clips of the roast of Justin Bieber.
Yeah. The New York Friars Club roast, like one of those things.
Yes,
that would be good. That would be good. There's. And on my list, Chappelle. I would love to see Chappelle. I would love to see Kevin Hart. I think he's funny. I enjoy his comedy. Surprisingly enough, I've never seen Tom Segura.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Yeah. So I would love to go out and see him. I mean, there's several on the list that I haven't seen, but like I said, sometimes they come out with these tours and they're not in. They're either not in Indianapolis or they're in Indianapolis on like a Wednesday night. And it's like the worst night possible for out of towners to try to drive to Indy to see a show.
Dude, they always midweek all kinds of stuff. It ain't even just comedy. It's like anytime they come through the state, they're like, just do it on a Wednesday so we don't have to see as many of these fucking idiots.
What do we have here besides corn and meth, honestly?
Yeah, but we can laugh.
Yeah, we can. So there's, I know there's a comedy club up in Fort Wayne and there's a comedy club in Indianapolis. And I think they're both, like mid-level comedians like hit them. Yeah. Like when I'm on both their mailing lists just in case like I see something that pops up. I mean, they're usually there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think that it was like the biggest name was on there was maybe Kevin Nealon or Hannibal Buress, which I think are funny guys. I don't know that I'd drive to Fort Wayne to see either one of them, but
I've seen him on roast, but I don't think I've ever seen Hannibal Buress's stand up or any clips or anything like that.
Yeah, I only remember him from the movie Tag. So it's you're better off than I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I was just kind of sitting here like,
yeah, like, whoever that is.
He does have kind of a weird
he's got a weird face.
He's got
way of talking.
Sweet. He does. Yeah. Yeah. He's got this like I think I saw his stand up once maybe, or like a 5-minute clip, and he's got this bit on Bill Cosby. Yeah, that I think got him in some trouble too. But
well, I know that one of the clips I've seen of people talking about him, it was during a roast. Someone made the joke that he's the only accuser of Bill Cosby to still be left standing or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it was he's got something to do with Bill Cosby, but I don't know what it is. I'd never seen Big J Okerson, but I got to see him on the boat, which I enjoyed.
That is
you
one
had
I would
brought
love
up.
to
I
see.
had said his name, but you had Jim Brewer.
Oh yes, I love Jim Brewer in the sense that, like, you know, everybody knows him from Half Baked, and like he looks like a stoner, but none of his comedy is really stoner, or at least it didn't used to be. And like his old stuff when he impersonate AC/DC, like that bit, fucking, I
The hokey
loved it.
pokey?
Yeah, I love that whole bit. That whole set was good for him, and I don't know, he just had a nice kind of not as eccentric and crazy as he is now kind of tone to his comedy. It's common people problems or just his frustration with the world or some stupid shit. But I don't know. I just always enjoyed the way he was so expressive too. Like his movements on stage, big movements.
Yeah.
You know, I could tolerate Dane Cook a little bit, but I think he even used to poke fun at Dane Cook, if I'm not mistaken. He did a thing where he made fun of him on stage.
Right. Yeah, acting like a dinosaur or something like that. Yeah. I think he did. I think there was a bit where he kind of made fun of him.
Yeah. But no, Jim Brewer would be a great one to see, but I know he's getting a little out there.
Yeah.
Politically anyway.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's one of those sit in his house kind of, the government's against me, man.
Oh, okay. So a
Well,
little too much
if he
half-baked.
somehow listens to this and gets offended by it, sorry, buddy.
See, those ones I would love to see just so I could get a laugh at how fucking out there they are.
Yeah.
I don't care what political stance people have, but if you're going to talk about it, I'm probably going to find a reason to laugh at you.
He does good with his podcast. Like, he's got a decent podcast. It's not too long of a runtime. I haven't listened to it in a while, but yeah, he gets kind of conspiratorial, you know, a little bit, thinking about all kinds of crazy things that are going on and what they're putting in our food.
I love the conspiracies.
Yeah.
You had brought up Dane Cook. I used to love Dane Cook's comedy.
He burned me out quick. That was the problem.
And then he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I think that was because
I think he burned a lot of people out.
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar, but I can't put a face to it.
He had like a lot of specials like really quick, and then was like selling out arenas and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, he was in a lot of movies too.
Yeah.
It's like we had just too much of him too quick. Bet he made a lot of money. Hopefully
He
still
did.
got it all.
Well, I think his brother robbed him of a lot of it. And that's why he disappeared, because his brother was like stealing money from him or something. He'd like sue his brother for money. And yeah, I think it got ugly there for a while.
Yeah.
And right along those same lines of Dane Cook, Daniel Tosh.
Oh.
His stand-up was fantastic.
Yeah.
But then he did that Tosh.0, which was funny-ish. But
that's
then
the only thing I've ever seen.
It kind of burned out his comedy, was that Tosh.0.
Yeah. But whenever he comes back after that, has been like, oh shit, this is the original Tosh. This is like a Tosh from before the show, kind of.
Yeah, I saw where he started a podcast, or he's got a podcast. And I saw a couple of clips from it, and he did seem like the old Tosh instead of whatever Tosh.0 kind of turned him into.
Yeah.
And I always thought his comedy was great. I just wasn't a huge fan of Tosh.0.
Located at 430 East Broadway in beautiful downtown Logansport, on the bonus level, the second floor of Bonus Pints, is Savini Comics. Savini Comics has all your toys, gaming, and comic needs. We have Dungeons and Dragons. We have Magic the Gathering. We have Pokemon. We have Disney Lorcana. We have Marvel and DC comic books. We have Marvel and DC figures. We have Star Wars. We have wrestling. Come join us at Savini Comics for all your gaming, toys, and comic book needs.
While I'm talking about that, like, so there's Tosh, and then there's Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino.
I enjoy both. I enjoy Andrew more than I do Bobby, but I enjoy both of them.
See, and like I've talked to people that are like, I love Bobby Lee, but I can't stand Andrew Santino.
See, I can't stand most of Bobby just talking about how awful his life is constantly.
Yeah. And
at least those are a lot of the clips I see.
Yeah. All the clips I see are Andrew Santino making fun of Asians. That is like all that I see is that.
He does it specifically to irritate Bobby.
Yeah.
I love the one where he has the mini gong behind him and he starts doing the voice and Bobby's like, dude, seriously, quit that. And he's like, oh, okay. And smacks this gong behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's entertaining to see him make fun of him. He was like, he told Bobby that he was yellow. And Bobby is like, I am not yellow. And he goes, dude, you're wearing a yellow shirt. And to me, it looks like you're wearing long sleeves. And he is like, I can't even tell if you're wearing short sleeves, long sleeves. And Bobby is like, you've got to stop. And he's like, I think this is hysterical. And but like I said, a few people I've talked to like love Bobby Lee and they can't stand Andrew Santino. Theo Vaughn is another one.
I love Theo.
I don't really watch much of his stuff.
So
he's not my flavor.
Theo is my spirit animal.
Yeah, his podcast is interesting. I can stand it in bits and pieces. I can't do all of it all the time.
Yeah.
His comedy is okay. It's not my favorite, but he's got some bits that I enjoy.
I just love how out there he is. Just fucking crazy.
Yeah, he is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
I have
now
countless clips saved of him.
This weekend, because I saw a clip this morning. So this weekend, yesterday, he was on the college football game day.
Oh, geez.
I was watching
Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, we were watching that at work yesterday in between counts.
And that is somebody that I have seen. I saw Pat McAfee's comedy live.
Yes, see.
And his stand-up was phenomenal because his stories and the way he tells them of him getting arrested and him meeting like Peyton Manning for the first time.
Is he doing the New Year's Eve party again in Indy?
Oh, I don't know.
Have you ever heard of that? Every year he hosts a big ass New Year's Eve party, like Pat McAfee, and anybody can go. And it's like a big New Year's Eve party.
Well, at least I know what I'm doing for New Year's now.
I don't know if he still does it. I know he did it for a few years. I wanted to go down real bad, and me and Alex had thought about it at one point, but we never fully committed and bought tickets to go. But But yeah, he hosts a big ass New Year's party.
That's interesting.
He still does it.
His comedy is gold. Like him meeting everybody and him getting drafted and his drinking stories were phenomenal. So he's a guy that again like kind of did storytelling / stand-up comedy, and then and he's not, I can't imagine he's going to ever do it again, but I mean he's a podcaster, comedian, wrestler, sportscaster.
I've only ever seen clips of him talking on sports networks.
Okay, yeah, no, ESPN bought his show for
is that why I see him constantly now?
$1 billion.
Jesus
or something
Christ,
like
that man made money.
So yeah, he's made by far more money in the entertainment business than he has playing football. That's for sure.
And way less brain damage.
Yeah, well, he was only a punter.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't out there cracking skulls.
I hear football. I just assume you probably have brain damage.
He was known for being the punter that would chase somebody down, which kickers are usually not known for. But there are clips of him. If you Google like Pat McAfee tackles, there are clips of him chasing like people getting kickoffs and breaking away, and he chases them down and just destroys them.
Oh, Jesus.
And he always took pride in the fact that he was willing to do that.
Also, granted, I know kickers still have to be fit, but seeing clips of him, I would not have thought kicker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not what I first thought when I see him.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic. He used to be a place kicker, so he was at West Virginia University as a place kicker, and the Colts drafted him, and he got a call, and they were like, yeah, and he's telling this up on stage. He's like, Bill Pullian calls me, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna draft you with the next pick," and he's like, "You're gonna be an Indianapolis Colt," and he's like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "Wait a minute, don't you have Adam Vinatieri?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to draft you as a punter. You know how to punt, right?" And he goes, Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can do that." And he's like, "Okay." I hung up the phone. I looked at my dad and was like, "Dad, we've got to go out in the yard because you got to teach me how to punt." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "The Colts want me to punt." And I just lied to him and told him I could. And he's like, "I need to go to punter school." And he goes, "Because I don't have a clue how to do it." And
Wow.
he's like, yeah. So he went and, he went out and learned how to punt. And that's how but he was not a punter. He wasn't a football player through a lot of his high school. He was a soccer player and then transitioned to football
That's all you
to
need,
get
baby.
a scholarship to be a kicker, at West Virginia. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how he transitioned into it. But yeah, he was like, I'd never punted a football in my life, but I wasn't about to tell the Indianapolis Colts that wanted to pay me money to be a punter that I couldn't punt the ball. So I just went ahead and did it. So he was good. His stand up storytelling, whatever you want to call it, was good for sure. Did you find anything on his party?
No, I couldn't drag anything. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I think it might be old.
Oh, okay.
He might not do it no more. Or...
Sons of bitches.
So you guys got anybody else? I think I've popped off like thousands of names. I feel like
all I know really is the modern ones. I love Joe Rogan. I know we haven't talked about him a lot. I enjoy his stand-ups. I enjoy his podcast. I thoroughly enjoy just the fact that he can, at this point, do and say whatever he wants.
Yeah. And Austin, Texas seems to be a hotbed where they all keep going now too.
Well, now he's built the club there. So
yeah. So Joe and Tom and somebody else all live in Austin. Shane Gillis, okay,
and Ron White.
Oh, okay, all live in Austin now.
He's trying to get Joey to move down there, so that way he can get Joey in the club repeatedly. And that would be something else.
Yeah, I know that's kind of where they're going is Texas.
All right, how about sketch comedy? What was your favorite sketch comedy show or like certain bits?
I am
I'll take a step back from this one.
I am old school Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Like I am just Saturday Night Live, golden age when I was in high school, 94 to 98, when they had Sandler, Spade, Rock.
Yeah. Big I'm a big David Spade.
Farley. And then you kind of morph into Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry and the cheerleaders. But I loved Chris Farley doing Matt Foley, living in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then him, when they're all dressed like girls. Spade, Farley, and Sandler are all dressed like they're girls that work at the they work at like the Gap or something.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley's eating fries like it's going out of style, but saying he's on a diet.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my favorite. I never did get into Mad TV.
I had certain parts of Mad TV that I liked to watch and some that I didn't. I absolutely hated Miss Swan with a burning passion. Fucking, I hated the Miss Swan bits. Like I still laugh about it in some cases, but like it was so frustrating to watch half the fucking time.
And she was the one. How
she's done so many movies. She's
Bernstein.
a great actress.
Yeah, and I think I know who you're talking
She's
about.
fantastic. Miss Maisel.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's her. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
As far as any other skits from that, I'm trying to think. Frank Caliendo's impressions were always pretty good. I liked R.A. Spears out of that. He would do the Charles Barkley and Shaq impersonations and stuff like that. Or Stewart.
The one thing I remember, the one thing I remember from Mad TV was, look what I can do.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was the one thing I remember.
In Living Color, though, was like that was the one I think I watched the most, but it was always the one that was on the least. And
it had the shortest run.
Yeah, well, when I was younger too, so I never had the opportunity to watch it much, but I love Jim Carrey. Like, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah. Fire Marshal Bill.
I guess there you go. There's a bucket list. If he were to ever do a stand-up bit, I hope I get to see that. That would be the one. But he never, like, once he hit the movies, he kind of didn't do stand-up anymore at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny because you hear them talk about stuff. Like, the goal used to be stand-up sitcom movie.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. Now the goal is to become a comedian and like club, theater, arena.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do a sitcom and a movie to be successful.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to sell 20,000 seats in an arena. Like, if you can do that and do that consistently through the country, like, you don't need to do sitcoms and movies. And comedians would rather have the freedom to do the specials and the podcasts and the things like that than have to be stuck to a show or a movie.
Well, and they squeeze those in between their shows on the way through. Like, a lot of the podcasts you watch where they have the celebrity guests, it's like, okay, this is the night in between two things, and like, they don't want to go out doing stuff, and they're getting paid to go be a guest or something, you know?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I'll go sit in a room and bullshit for a couple hours and make a fucking ass load of money.
Yeah. And with Zoom and Teams and different programs on your computer, you can talk to anybody anywhere now with a webcam and do the podcast. I mean, you really, truly, honestly can. Because I know that Mick Foley does one now, and half the time he's somewhere in a hotel room, and they're not doing it live. So it's it's amazing what they can do with technology now. So
to take it back to the sketches, because I actually did think of one. Have either of you two seen Gillian Keeves on YouTube?
I don't think so.
It is Shane Gillis, and I don't know who the other guy's name is. I'm going to guess it's something with Keeves, but it's basically Key and Peele, but their version of it.
Oh, okay.
So you might have seen, like, on Instagram Reels or whatever, the clip of Shane. It looks like almost like a clip from a TV show of Shane in an airplane on the phone yelling at a guy while it's crashing.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Okay. There's 12 episodes of it, and obviously each YouTube video has its own theme, but that one specifically is one of my favorites. They're taking off in an airplane, they're in the sky, and then all of a sudden they get some turbulence, and it starts going, both the engines blow, I believe is what it was, and the captain gets on and it's like, hey, call your loved ones, we're going down. We're going to try to land, but call your loved ones. And you just hear people get out their phones, start talking, and then you just hear Shane get out his phone and, hey, yeah, is this Bob from Toyota dealership? Yeah, fuck you, buddy, and just start screaming at him. Oh, yeah, you fucking pussy. Oh, yeah, you want to do something about it? I'll be in the parking lot in 10. Yeah, be there. And this lady looks over and is just like, what are you doing? He's like, what? Do you expect me to call my wife and get bitched at for the last 10 minutes of my life? No, I'm going to give someone something to think about. And all of a sudden, this lady and passengers start looking over, and you just hear everyone, hey, fuck you, buddy. And just everyone break into it. But yeah, they got a bunch of different. skits like that on YouTube.
Yeah, that was another one. Key and Peele was a good one.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of Key and Peele now that I think about it.
Yeah, Key and Peele was a good one. Chappelle Show was good.
When we were kids, all that, you know. Me and Levi.
Yeah,
you weren't. I don't know if you remember.
Hey,
that.
man, we got a 10-year gap between us.
Hey, you're not wrong. I forget, man. I forget.
Y'all forget I'm only 24.
It was like when Saturday Night Live was big. Your parents would be watching it, and you waited until your channel came on with all that. It was basically like the teenage version of SNL. And it's where Good Burger was born. Like Keenan, and Kel, man. Like that is like kind of, it's feeding into our media right now. The new Good Burger movie's coming out, and that's where all that's from. Yeah.
Right over my head.
God.
Yeah, see, and that's like that's after mine. Yeah. I mean, that's after my time. So,
well, and if he didn't watch it, that means you didn't have it on your TV.
Correct.
Yeah,
I'm thoroughly uncultured. My childhood was spent playing video games or being outside. Not a lot of TV time. Dad bitches about that. Apparently, I couldn't sit down and watch anything.
Yeah. Watch some damn TV. You're too active.
I wouldn't watch movies, wouldn't watch TV, apparently. Now I will, obviously, but...
I mean, I was a pretty active outdoor kid, but I always, I had my time where TV time was a necessity, because I done fucking ran all over hell and back outside. I'm tired.
See, my TV time was like Teen Titans and a lot of superhero TV shows.
I'd sit down and play with my Legos and put on a show and just sit there and watch it while I'm building. It was always some... Yeah, I rarely ever watched cartoons. Like, there was only a handful of cartoons I'd ever watch, and then it was like adult shows. Like, what the fuck is this kid doing watching this? Like, I don't know. I liked it better. Very vulgar. I learned a lot of cuss words early on.
Yeah, I don't know what all that is. It was all Saturday Night Live for me. Like,
don't think I've seen Saturday Night Live once.
Even going back through to the 70s, the old original stuff. And I wasn't born then, but I remember going back and watching them. So, but yeah, I guess I didn't realize there were so many, because Living Color and Key and Peele and Chappelle Show all kind of escaped me. So I guess there were quite a few sketch shows that came out.
Oh, and there's some we're forgetting, because I feel I know exactly. Like, there's something that I just used to watch, but I can't remember it right now.
Yeah, I'm sure there were more. So I've is there anybody that you want to see particularly, Levi?
I mean, I've always been trying to see Ari Shaffir, Joe Rogan, Bert and Tom, those big four. And Daniel Sloss. Those are really my 5 that I would die to see.
Yeah. I know that they've talked. Bert is doing another cruise in like a year and a half. So I hope to get on that boat. But that'll be, I'll be interested to see what kind of lineup he puts together for that. He's still on tour.
Yeah, he doesn't ever stop.
Yeah,
him and Tom both.
Yeah, I don't think he ever stops.
Granted, Tom always has fantastic names for his tours.
Yeah,
like I'm Coming Everywhere tour.
Yeah. So, yeah, he does. So, does anybody have anything else?
I don't know. Not really.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I like comedians.
Yeah.
I listen to their podcast. I mean, that's about it.
I like jokes.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode of Pints and Pages then. So I'm Nick.
I'm Brad.
I'm Levi.
And we are recording from Logan Tech. So thank you, Tony, for running everything for us and letting us use the space. And we are going to say goodbye. See you next time.